Hi everyone, it's Barry from Jerusalem. This week's Parsha is probably what I feel is one of the most fascinating ones because it really deals between the relationships of family members, brothers, and how to keep peace within the family, especially in the time of famine, where things in Eretz Israel, or Eretz Canaan at the time, the land of Canaan, was not good. So in this Parsha Vayigash, Lifgosh is to meet someone. But this was more than just a meeting, because this is the story of how to negotiate when your brother's in danger. And what happened in last week's Parsha, Shlach, they asked for Benjamin, Joseph's younger brother, to come, and he was the remaining son of his mother Rachel, Benjamin. So Yehuda, his father, because Joseph was sold at the age of 17 by his brothers, and now it has it, divine providence, it has it such that Joseph, his brother, hidden in the narrative, in the story, accuses his brother Benjamin of stealing. So we have to somehow justify, because he's the king of Egypt now, and somebody has to pay for stealing. It was all a design created by the one above, God above, that even when the brothers sold him at age 17, it was because in the future there was to be a famine in the land, and Joseph knew this, and he, even in advance, as a young man, he was called a dreamer, and he said one day the brothers would come and bow down to him, and this is exactly what they do. And he was like the sun, and they were like the stars, and there was 11 to bow down. And his father said, "What are you talking about your brothers like this for? Because they're going to hate you." And that's exactly what happened. They sold him to a bunch of Ishmaelite Arab merchants from Egypt, and he ended up going to jail, put him in jail. He ended up being in jail twice, actually. Once he was in a pit on his journey there, and God was with him, and then he became in the jail, and he also interpreted his dreams there. So now it appears that his dreams are coming true. Now Joseph is aware of this, but his brothers are not aware. So we have to see, in the scheme of history, even Jewish history, in regular history, we have events that are controlled by supernatural forces. That supernatural force is the God of Israel, and he's a monotheistic God, which other religions also copy, but some have different explanations in their doctrine, in their Torah, in their written traditions, just how it is. But the God of Israel is the God from Mount Sinai. So Mount Sinai has an interesting letters. It's the interesting name. Sinai and Sina have the same letters. Sinai was the mountain, and Sina was hate. As soon as the Jewish people got the law, all the nations of the world seem to hate the Jewish people, and it still goes to this day. But the experiment, which Jew is going to survive all these events that are happening, by putting their trust in something greater called, we call it Hashem, the name. He has a name, 4-letter name, and some of the sources call him the Shekhinah, but he's with us. Even when the temples were destroyed, he was with us. So now we're seeing here with Joseph, what's going to happen to the Jewish people. There's famine in the land. Joseph doesn't even know whether his father's alive. And Yehuda mentions to him in the beginning of the Parsha. He says, I want you to listen clearly, because Yehuda now promised his father. He said, he said, if you don't bring Benjamin back to me, I'll go to my grave with gray hairs, because I lost my other son, Joseph, from Rachel. And when Benjamin gave birth, Rachel actually died. And then he had Leah, 6 other sons with Leah, but this was his pride, so to speak. He had a fancy coat, Joseph, and he was like the twin kind of relative, all with a different mission, but their lives paralleled, you see? So the thing is, now Yehuda threatens the king of Egypt. He had a ring, he was second to the king, and he said, listen, he says to his brothers, if he doesn't want to give up Joseph, if he doesn't want to, if he says, I'm willing to be your slave, not that you take him, and not that you punish him. I offer you to be my slave, your slave. And I told this to my father. Joseph was holding very strong, and he argued with him. And Yehuda, the Midrash says, Yehuda says to his other brothers, be ready to take all of Egypt with your 10 brothers. There are 10 marketplaces, so many marketplaces, each one get ready to go into a different place if he doesn't deliver. I'm giving him a good offer. I'm offering my own life for my brother, Yosef, who the other brothers sold. So it's beautiful irony, beautiful hidden element. And it got to a point where Yosef said, he basically screamed to the guards, please leave the chamber area. And he revealed himself. He was dressed like a king. And they said, I'm your brother Joseph. How did they know he was his brother? What's the sign of a Jew? Midrash says, he showed him the certain sign at 8 days where a Jew is, proof that he's a Jew. So he showed him the sign of the covenant, one of the Midrash says. In other words, we need all this to figure out that he's my brother because he looks so different, he's dressed in different ways. But in reality, he made all the Egyptians go through circumcision. And he never forgot his father. And the woman that was chasing after him, Potiphar's wife, who he had to answer to, she never stopped chasing him. And she almost got him. You see, if she would have gotten him and gotten his heart, he would have been absolved into the culture, Egyptian culture, and the Jews would be lost because he was the only Jew in Egypt. But you see the power of Yaakov. The power of Yaakov is that he was the torch, and Yosef was the flame. Even though he was separated at age 17 from him, Yosef took this flame, and he actually saved Egypt because there was a famine, and he had skills in business, and he knew how to organize things, and he created all these things through his dreams that literally saved the world at the time. So Pharaoh said, you're going to be my number one man. So he broke down and he said, I'm Yosef, your brother. Is my father still alive? And then Pharaoh, the king, says to Yosef, your father's alive? Tell him to come down. Bring all the family. Take some stuff with you, this and that. And the bottom line is, the love that Yosef had for his brothers could not be hidden. He realized that something happened to him where God changed the environment in order to save the world of the Egyptians. The 200 was supposed to be 400 years of oppression and slavery. It was cut down through their prayers and through torture in Egypt to 212 years. And we set the standard for values in the world. That's the whole purpose of the Jewish people, is to show what it means to be a good husband, to be a good father, to be a good brother. And we learn through the text and all these examples just how good it is. The word for Hebrew good is tov. What is tov? Taf, vav, bet. Taf is the 6. Taf is the number 9. Vav is 6. Bet is 2. 9, 6, and 2 spell the number 17. Well, there's no coincidence that it was 17 that Yaakov, Israel, told his sons to go and see how his brothers are doing. And that's when he disappeared. And Yaakov lived 147 years. But he loved his son so much, he didn't know what happened. Which I think maybe he did, and he should have still been, they said when the Pharaoh greeted him, he said, well, my life I had some years of trouble, and every word that he said for that took off years of his life. His Yitzhak, the Avram's son, and Yaakov's father, Israel's father, lived 180 years. And he was told by Abraham never to leave the land because the land is yours. I purchased the caves of Machpelah. It's your land. And don't let anybody tell you. And don't let anybody give it away. And I have for your twin brother Esau a part in Seir. And I have parts for the various tribes. And when we start playing with the land, because the land is holy, the Hebrew letters, the Hebrew words, the Torah is holy, the time, the sacred time in which things happen is not by coincidence, it's divine providence. These are all the things you learn when you study Torah. So 17 years in the beginning, and then he was here 17 years at the end. So what does that mean? How is your math? What's 17 and 17? 34. So it was good in the beginning of the 17 years that the father and son was together. And it was good for the 17 years that the father and son were together. You see? 34 years. And if you look at next week's Parsha, it's called Vayigash. Now, if you take the numbers to the letters of Vayigash, and he lived, because they're talking about Yosef, he had passed away, and they had to now bury, or Yaakov passed away, and they embalmed him because the Egyptians didn't believe in the afterlife. So if they preserved the body with like they do, we believe, the Jews, we believe in the world to come, and that's the next world. So we have to understand in Vayigash, if you look at every letter, it spells 34. So here you go in the previous Parsha. You have the good years, and these were the dreams of Yosef. That's how he convinced the Egyptian king, because his dreams came to reality. He told there'd be 7 good years and 7 bad years, and that was 14. And his strength is koach. That's chaf. That's 20 and 8. That's koach, his strength. So we learn out things from the text just by the holy numbers. And so Vayigash spells up, and he lived. Well, What do you mean and he lived? Oh, it's telling you in the table of contents that in his life he lived, even though it's a story of his death. And the Jewish people still live. It's the 6th day of Hanukkah. We're still alive. The Assyrian Greeks wanted to destroy us. They wanted to destroy us internally. So we light Chanukiah. We light the Hanukkah lamps. Maybe you can see it. I'm going to put this thing. Yeah, you see it? It's on my table there. It's on my table here. This is the Hanukkah. We light it. It's not yet sundown, but this is the 6th day of Hanukkah. I lit 6 candles here, right? Now the Lakutei Maharang, which also explains the deeper aspects, the hidden aspects, that when the time of the temple existed, the menorah, there are opinions that the candles in the menorah bent it towards the middle candle. So they say, who's the middle candle? The middle candle is Moshe Rabbeinu, the prophet, because all the light of the Jewish people come when they study Torah and they bring light into the world. That's the whole business here. When we got attacked October 7th, that brought darkness to Israel. Israel had to respond. We didn't want to. We gave the land. According to this discussion right now, we should have never given the land. Even the Jewish politicians don't have a right to the land. And that could be why we were punished. The land was in our thing, but we felt sorry. These people were displaced through Jordan, Black September. They kicked out, and they settled on the West Bank. They occupied Jewish territory. But the media turns it around and says, it's occupied territory. The Philistines, sounds like their name, were really down south in Beersheba, and God made it such, and they had respect for Yitzhak, and they made an agreement that Yitzhak will stay in his designated land in Beersheba with Avimelech, the king in Israel at the time, because Avraham, Yitzhak, had just come into the land, and they know he was chosen, and they know nobody could beat Yitzhak. And Yitzhak, that happens to be my middle name, Yitzhak, he was Gibur, he was resilient. They buried Abraham's wells to try to take the Jews out of the land. And Yitzhak, Gavuro, might, he undug the wells of his father. He spent most of his time defending the land, because the land was given as a gift to us as long as we merit to adhere to the mission at Mount Sinai and the laws of Torah. So this special day is also an interesting day. It's Rosh Chodesh. We Jews go by the lunar calendar. And Rosh Chodesh is also a new beginning. Now, Avram, he was a master astrologer, but he brought to the world kindness. And also he understood that the Jews have a special mission in this world, beyond the stars. See, a lot of the blessings come from heaven to earth, but they come through the stars. So there is definitely that aspect of astrology, astronomy, that's very much the great Jewish thinkers are aware of. And the great thinkers like Aristotle was Greek. These were the ones that came in more than 2,000 years ago to say, hey, be like us. What are you circumcising yourselves for? What are you keeping the Sabbath for? What are you keeping the Rosh Chodesh, which is the new month, which is today? Look at the Greeks today. Look at the Assyrian Greeks. They came from Syria. What happened to Syria recently? The president went bye-bye. It's in the hand of Al Qaeda and all these other groups Who knows what they go on, what they're thinking to do to Israel. But at that time, this little priest, a small family prince, went against thousands of warriors. And they had one little flask sealed. And they took this flask and they started lighting the lamp of the menorah, this lamp where I told you Moshe Rabbeinu was the middle light. And this light is connected to Sukkot. Sukkot is the holiday after Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, where judgment is given. And there's a final judgment, supposedly final judgment, on Shmini Atzeret. And that was the day, the exact day that the Jews were attacked. What did they do wrong to have such a bad judgment? We're supposed to be happy. They went together, like Joseph. Joseph has to be happy. Joseph had to bring his brothers together. That was his divine mission, was to bring his brothers together. So today is Rosh Chodesh. Now we're being attacked by the Houthis. A few bombings here. Siren went off on me. I just lied in my bed and opened up 5 books of Moses and saying, my angels, take care of these people, will you please? I don't need to be woken up in the middle of the night on my Sabbath. And then the alarm was maybe 20 seconds. And I said, oh, it's usually much longer. Then the next day after Shabbos, we don't touch telecommunications, we don't touch radio, TV. That's what makes the Sabbath holy, when we observe it according to the Torah. But what happened was, it was intercepted in orbit. Yemen's 2,000 miles away. And Yemen is in the family of Esau. And Esau is really the Western civilization of America. These were the builders. And Yaakov, Israel, were the spiritual builders. These were the physical builders. We need everyone. But everyone has to come to the same page. Our purpose was just to be a light to the nations. And the nations don't want to listen. They're into conquest and power. We're into being humble. Humility is really the cornerstone of the Torah. I'm not getting into it today. But that's what it's about. And these people who have the cards, and it's all, we're above the Mazal, we're above the constellations in terms of the Jewish nation. We can change our Mazal. That's what prayer is for. That's what repentance is for, to change our direction and perhaps change our destiny, a destiny that was written in on or mentioned on the Rosh Hashanah, and then it's sealed on Yom Kippur. And if we pray very, very hard, Shmini Atzeret, which was October 7th, we can overcome that judgment. It was a bad judgment for the Jewish people. But on Hanukkah, the rabbis tell that the hidden, deeper secrets are revealed. There is one aspect to the Jewish life cycle where Hanukkah repairs and gives a new start to the Jewish people. And we see in 1 year's time, even though there were hostages there and we suffered a lot, but we are winning. And because we are winning, the whole world is winning. See? It's all connected. Jewish values are democratic values. Where do you think they come from? They come from the Torah. They come from the Hammurabi Code, which really comes from the Torah. It's divine intervention. So we can change the idea of the stars. That's the power of the Jewish people. That's why we continue to exist. No one can confront us as long as we believe in God, as long as we carry our traditions. So look at the time here. Syria is in disarray. There's still anti-Semitism all over the world. But what do we have now? We have tonight. New Year's Eve. You think we Jews in Israel thinking about New Year's Eve? Esav is the West. Esav was the twin brother that wanted to kill Yaakov. But he had some good attributes. He honored his father Yitzchak, and Yitzchak favored him. Just like Rivka favored Yaakov, Yitzchak favored him. We could see all of history through the Jewish Torah. But what happens is, it gets distorted. The whole concept of Hanukkah is purity, bringing light into the world, in a world of darkness and savages. People that are godless. People that don't have any respect. Our respect is for God. He's our number one respect. We call it kavod. Kavod. That's who we respect. And we have to be humble, not arrogant. We have to know how to use our wisdom, the wisdom of the Jewish people, to move forward and bring more light into this world. And that is my mission here in this world. I haven't really focused on marketing this message, but if you like the message, subscribe to my channel, Barry Gruber, at Barry Gruber, Gruber Barry. I don't pay attention to my emails, but I'm all there on the internet. So listen, have a good Shabbos, have a good New Year, keep it peaceful, keep it friendly. We're all brothers, and we all need to work things out in peace. But if you try to destroy and hurt the Jewish people, you are basically hurting yourself. And that's all I have to say. And you might not believe what I'm saying, you might not like me, but the bottom line is, we are the people of truth. We don't like to lie. We're truth seekers. Some people in different cultures love to lie. That's the ends justifies the means. We're not like that. So we look to bring the light back into the world as the world, dark areas of the world continue to affect the planet. Like even COVID, God can take a little virus and turn the whole planet upside down. Why? Why did he do that? Because something's not right. Right? Why did President Trump almost get assassinated 2 times? Because something's not right. You think he believed in God after the first one? Yeah, probably did. After the second one, for sure. So, have faith, do the best you can, be happy, and know that we have to build a life together in freedom and happiness with respect for each other. And that is our mission as Jews. Through nice speech, through being considerate of other people. It's not easy. It's not easy to be patient. But we need patience, we need love. And it's the love of God, who is perfect in his ways, that we need to understand. The only understanding of this love that he has for us is to get into the text and to start learning what it means to have the fear of God, which is in our text is the beginning of wisdom, because we know in order to get to the love of God, we have to start learning what it means to be a human being, creative, to build humanity and not destroy it like the savages currently, that the whole world is like, has misplaced understanding. And they're totally fake, they're totally false. Have a good Shabbos, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah. By the way, This is the sixth night tonight in Israel. We're 7 hours ahead of New York. Let's see, Wednesday, and then the last day is Thursday. So this is a powerful day for prayer. The last night of Hanukkah, Zot Hanukkah. This is where you can actually effect miracles and change in the constellations if you're a Jew. So look into Hanukkah and try to light that candle, especially on the last day, and sit. The halacha, or the law, is you sit and you contemplate the light of Hanukkah, what it means, and how you ask God to help you navigate yourself in this world. 30 minutes without doing anything other than seeing the light of the final candle. Hanukkah Sameach, Chodesh Tov, Shabbat Shalom.